Yeah, okay, you can start your meeting now.
Thank you. I'd like to call the Health and Human Services Committee meeting for Wednesday, January 25th, 2023 to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Gunther. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Present.
Alderwoman Rice.
Present.
Alderman Todd. Alderman Page.
Present.
Alderman Grass.
Here.
Chair Gracia.
Present.
Alderman Gunther.
Here.
Alderman Todd. We have 6 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We will, if I have a motion, we can approve the minutes from the January 17th, 2023 committee meeting. If you've had a chance to review those, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Gunther.
Aye.
Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice.
I think she might be having some technical difficulties.
Okay. Alderman Todd. Alderman Page.
Aye.
Alderman Grass.
Aye.
Chair Gracia.
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice.
Aye. Sorry, had to take a look.
Alderman Todd. We have 6 aye votes.
By your vote, we have approved the minutes from the January 17th, 2023 committee meeting. And I am going to recess until 1:30 p.m. and we will take up our agenda on board bills. So if ever you can hang on or log back on, but we'll start promptly at 1:30. Thanks for your patience, everyone. I think we have most people back. I'm trying to check and see if we still have. Yeah, I think we're good to go. I'd like to break from recess and call the Health and Human Services Committee meeting back to order. Is STLTV, let me know when you're ready.
Yes, you can continue.
Okay, thank you very much. Just double checking we have a quorum. Aura, can you help me with that?
Yes, ma'am, I can. And I'm looking to see, I see Middlebrook, I see Miss Rice, I see Gunther. I don't see Mr. Page and I don't see Cross.
Okay,
Uh,
I'll
yeah,
I'll text them. Can you promote Annalise?
please.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was aware, but she's not on here. I don't see her to even pull her over to the panelist side.
oh, she was there before. Let me.
I see her now. I see someone
great.
that just raised their hand. Who is that?
That's her.
Okay. Annalise Stover, okay.
Great.
Done.
Thank you. I'm
You're
going to have Alderwoman Middlebrook take over the meeting briefly while I present Board Bill 159.
Okay, thank you, Chairwoman Ingracia. Right now, we're going to listen to Board Bill 159. Are you prepared?
I am ready to go. Yes. Presenting Board Bill 159 this afternoon, which will allow the Department of Human Services to enter into an agreement for approximately $63,000, which would be under the St. Louis Area Agency on Aging to provide some community and home-based services to our older and aging population for a series of trainings and classes. And wanted to let Annalise speak briefly with more specifics, and then let the committee members ask questions if they have them before I ask for approval.
Hi, my name is Annalisa Stover, and I'm the director of the St. Louis Area Agency on Aging, and we are part of the City of St. Louis Department of Human Services. We are one of 10 area agencies on aging across the state of Missouri. We have a sister area agency on aging that is called MARC, the Mid-American Regional Council, and they cover the Kansas City area. The reason I say this is because in the past, we have applied for this same ACL grant and our statewide association received it. So back to 2017, we provided these health classes, including the chronic disease self-management classes, the diabetes self-management classes, Walk with Ease, and other health classes. ACL changed their requirements, and so instead of being able to apply as a statewide association, they required that an area agency on aging apply. So that is why the Mid-American Regional Council applied and received this ACL grant on behalf of the 10 area agencies on aging across the state. So you might be asking, what exactly are these health classes? And I wanted to highlight just one or two of them briefly before answering any questions you may have. So the first one I wanted to discuss is a chronic disease self-management class. This is an evidence-based class that is based on a model out of Stanford. And it's a 6-week class for people who have chronic conditions like diabetes, arthritis, health disease, pain, or anxiety. And topics covered include making healthy food choices, increasing physical activity and exercise, and coping with pain. So the purpose of this class is that people meet over a 6-week period, either virtually or in person. They go through a curriculum, then they set individual goals, check back in with each other on a weekly basis to see if those goals are being accomplished, and then move forward supporting each other. So that's one of the classes. Another class is called the Walk with Ease class. This also is an evidence-based class. It is a 6-week walking program that meets for 1 hour, 3 times a week. and usually 12 to 15 participants participate in a class, and there is self-direction, which includes self-paced walks with health-related topics that are covered. So it's 6 weeks, 30 minutes each time they meet, 3 times per week. These are classes that are being provided and have been provided for many years in community settings. If people are interested in hosting classes, we would be happy to come out into the community. We currently do facilitate classes in the community. We also facilitate these classes virtually. So as I said in the past, the ACL grant that Mark received is a grant that previously was applied for through the MA4 Association, which is a statewide association. So this is seen as a new funding source since it's going through the AAA out of Kansas City, but it's that same ACL grant that allows us to teach health classes in the community. Please let me know if you have questions.
Okay, we'll go through the committee and see if anyone has questions, starting with Alderman Gunther.
Just thank you for your work, Annalise. No questions.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Rice,
Yep, no questions. Sounds like a good plan, and glad we can get you some more funding.
Thank you.
Alderman Todd, Alderman Page, Alderman Gross.
No questions for me. Thank you.
I'll go back to Alderman Page. Do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming. I have no questions. It sounds like a great program. Chairwoman Ingracia, do you have anything else to add?
Nothing further. I just request your favorable consideration to pass out Board Bill 159 today.
Thank you. Okay, can we get a motion to pass out Board Bill 159?
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice,
Aye.
Alderman Todd, Alderman Page,
Aye.
Alderman Grass,
Aye.
Chair Ingracia,
Aye.
Alderman Todd. We have 6 aye votes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
And I will turn this meeting back over to Chairwoman Ingracia.
Thank you, Alderwoman. The next item up on our agenda is Board Bill 182, Alderman from the 24th.
Thank you, Chairwoman Ingracia. I'm going to stumble here because I'm not sure, not being a member of the committee, how I get the committee sub that is in the drive in front of this committee properly.
Go ahead and I would entertain a motion from the committee to allow Board Bill 182 committee substitute to come before us.
So moved.
Second.
Go ahead and call the roll, Madam Chair. Or Madam
Previous
Clerk.
roll.
Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 182 committee substitute is now before us.
Awesome. Thank you. So we've had many discussions over the last several years on plumbing codes. We've heard the finer points on the nuances between the International Plumbing Code and the Uniform Plumbing Code. So this is the 2021 edition of the Uniform Plumbing Code that is before us. This basically just pulls us into the modern era with plumbing codes. I know from some constituents of mine who have called me, the people are taking their master plumber's exam and getting these interim licenses at the moment that are good for 6 months. The testing has really slowed down since we've left the region in kind of some uncertainty as to which plumbing code we're going with, what the plumbing code is at the moment, if we're actually moving forward on plumbing codes, so on and so forth. This is the plumbing code that most folks that I've spoken to on the ground that actually work as plumbers and pipe fitters This is what they prefer to use. This also would ensure continuity with St. Louis County and some other nearby counties. And overall, we just need to update the plumbing code one way or another here. This is the one that I'm hearing from the folks in the field that they believe that this is the superior plumbing code out of the two. I think most people here know that I am not a plumber, although I have learned more about plumbing codes in the last year or so than I ever thought I would. And I am happy to address any questions or concerns from any of the committee members. And I believe that there's also some folks here to speak on the bill.
Thank you so much, Alderman. If any members of the committee have preliminary questions from the Alderman from the 24th, if you could just raise your hand. If not, we'll hear from the members of the public who are here to testify, and then we can do a Q&A. All right, Brian Rogers, you are up first. I have to swear you in quickly, and then please state your name and your affiliation, and feel free to testify, and then we'll do a Q&A with the committee. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Great, go right ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman Ingrassia and members of the committee. I am Brian Rogers, Senior Vice President of Field Services for the International Association of Plumbing and Mechanical Officials, commonly referred to as IAPMO. I testify today continuing our ongoing support of the work performed by the Committee of Plumbing Code Review in Board Bill 182 to update the City of St. Louis Plumbing Code from the 2009 Uniform Plumbing Code to the 2021 Uniform Plumbing Code. The IAPMO Group was founded in 1926 and is a standards development organization and trade association that produces the most progressive and technically advanced plumbing, mechanical, and water efficiency codes in the world. Our membership includes contractors, engineers, manufacturers, suppliers, plumbing and mechanical inspectors, and building officials. IAPMO's primary motive for action is to protect the public health by promoting efficient and effective plumbing and mechanical systems. The 2021 UPC has been reviewed by a team of experts on the Committee of Plumbing Code Review and has been recommended as a plumbing code for the city. When adopted, the City of St. Louis will benefit from innovative methods and materials, comprehensive installation guidelines, and advanced provisions in water efficiency, water reuse, and system performance. The Uniform Plumbing Code has been the preferred plumbing code for the City of St. Louis since 2003 and correlates seamlessly with all other building codes adopted by the city. Jurisdictions throughout the St. Louis area, as well as in the states of Iowa, Nebraska, North and South Dakota, and many other state and local jurisdictions throughout the U.S. benefit from the provisions of the UPC. In March of 2022, the St. Louis Realtors released a study with findings that the Uniform Plumbing Code is adopted in most jurisdictions throughout the St. Louis metro area, proving that adopting the Uniform Plumbing Code is the preferred code and will maintain uniformity for all plumbing contractors. The UPC is easier to enforce because there are fewer areas of field interpretation. This, in turn, helps eliminate conflict between contractors and inspectors that could lead to construction delays and cost overruns. Many education and training institutions in the city teach only the UPC as a foundation for their plumbing code curriculum. Additionally, beginning February 28th, IAPMO will be providing free inspector training over the Uniform Plumbing Code for the city, county, and all inspectors throughout the metro area. In closing, IAPMO supports the expert recommendation of the Committee of Plumbing Code Review to adopt the 2021 UPC for the City of St. Louis to help improve water efficiency and conservation, support industry, and continue on a path of innovation and effectiveness. Thank you for your time today, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Thank you so much for your continued commitment to this issue here in the city of St. Louis. Do any of the members of the committee have any questions for Mr. Rogers? Okay, thank you so much again. We move on to Donald Summers. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Good
Okay.
afternoon.
Hold on for just one moment. I just have to, yes, swear you in. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, if you could just introduce yourself and mention your affiliation if you have any, and please feel free to proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Negrassi and the members of the committee. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk on Board Bill 182 Committee Substitute. My name is Don Summers. I am a licensed plumber in the city of St. Louis, and I have been for the last 48 years. I am currently working as a consultant for the Atmo Group in the St. Louis area. As a licensed plumber in St. Louis, I have been attending the meetings of the Committee of Plumbing Review since 1997, and I've seen the great work that this committee has displayed for the citizens of St. Louis. This committee has spent many hours reviewing and discussing the city plumbing code and the city plumbing ordinance to make sure the city of St. Louis is on the most up-to-date plumbing code and the most beneficial code for St. Louis and its citizens. I honestly believe, as a licensed plumber in the city of St. Louis, adopting the 2021 Uniform Plumbing Code is the most logical code to adopt for the city of St. Louis. I fully support Board Bill 182 Committee Substitute, and I want to thank the chairperson and the committee for their time today, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you so much for your time. Do any of the members of the committee have questions for Mr. Summers? Okay, moving on, we have Lamarco Scales. Mr. Scales, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, if you could just state your name and then let us know your affiliation, and feel free to proceed.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman Gracia and members of the committee. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today on Board Bill 182. My name is Lamarco Scales. I am a plumbing contractor in the city of St. Louis. I've been a plumber for 29 years and been in business for 16 years. And I was appointed to the committee, Plumbing Code Review Committee by the mayor. And I've been involved with reviewing the committee. I've been involved with reviewing the plumbing ordinances and plumbing code for the past 6 years. And as a member in the Plumbing Code Review Committee, we have continually recommended the adoption of the Uniform Plumbing Code. And I am in full support of Board Bill 182 and the committee's substitutes in the adoption of the 2021 Uniform Plumbing Code. Now, I'm speaking on behalf of the members of the Plumbing Code Review Committee who couldn't be here. I think it's Pat Summers, Mike Young, and Daryl Hunter. They give me permission to speak on their behalf. And if you have any questions, I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much for taking the time to testify today. Do any of the members of the committee have questions for Mr. Scales? Okay, thank you so much. Now we are moving along. Sure, Dan Laughlin, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Could you state your name and your affiliation if you have one, and then feel free to proceed.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to speak today on Board Bill 182. My name is Dan Laughlin. I am the president, owner, and master plumber and drain layer for OJ Laughlin Plumbing Company. We are a third-generation family business that has been in business for more than 70 years and have worked in the city of St. Louis since our inception. I'm putting my support behind Board Bill 182 for a few reasons. First of all, this code is what is currently being used and serves our customers in the best possible way to protect their health and welfare. It is a fair code, but yet stringent enough to make sure that it keeps plumbing systems safe for its occupants. Secondly, since this is the current code and has been for such a long time, this is what most all licensed plumbers have learned and know how to administer correctly. Any changes, I feel, may somewhat be a challenge for some licensed plumbers to administer correctly and keep our citizens safe. As the Vice President of the St. Louis chapter of the Plumbing Industry Council, I can say our organization is 100% fully behind this board bill. We had a board meeting recently and we had a unanimous vote that all members were in support of this bill. Lastly, and maybe most importantly, the City of St. Louis's own Plumbing Code Review Committee has endorsed this bill, which means it is the best possible code for the City of St. Louis. I thank you for your time and really appreciate you allowing me to voice my opinions today.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Do any members of the committee have questions for Mr. Summers? Okay. Last but certainly not least, we have Clinton McBride with the Laborers Union. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name, your affiliation, and proceed.
Clinton McBride, I'm the Government Affairs Director for Laborers Local 110. Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to address you this afternoon. I'll be brief. I just want to go on record and say that the laborers are in support of this legislation. We've gone kind of round and round and spent a lot of hours with this thing over the past 2 to 3 years. And I think it would be prudent for this body to go ahead and this committee to go ahead and pass this thing out today. It does have advancements in efficiency standards. We see kind of the water issues that we're having all over the world at this point, but definitely in our country. And anything we can do to maximize the efficiency, I think is very important. And furthermore, if those codes don't get updated, I know that eventually that does affect insurance premiums for the city and things of that nature as well. So over the past, I don't know how many years now it's been since this thing's been updated, but there have clearly been advancements in plumbing technology over that time. And I think we need to implement those. So with that, I go on record as being in support of this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you so
and
much.
I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Great. Thank you so much for your time and being here. Do any members of the committee have questions for Mr. McBride or any of the other individuals who have testified on this bill? Alderwoman from the 8th.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee and speakers. I feel like this is sort of coming full circle in my time in service here at the Board of Aldermen. I believe when I first came on back in 2018, we were discussing this exact thing. So I remember sitting on many long hearings of lots of conversation about these codes. So I guess in generally, a couple of the things that are just flagging, I've absolutely heard concerns about needing to move forward, absolutely needing to update the codes that we're working with, and having a uniform code across the region. I'm wondering if I apologize, I don't know who the correct person to direct these questions to are. So if you feel like you can answer, please jump in. I'm fine with that. I've gotten some questions about individual water meters on new builds or new, if you're completely overholding a building. Do these codes require that we put water meters? I know that we don't have metered water in the city. You pay by the bathroom, I believe is how those are billed. But are water meters involved in this code?
I'd be out happy to kind of answer that. I can tell you, this is Brian Rogers with IAMO. The Uniform Plumbing Code does not specifically require water usage to be metered. That is more of an administration portion of the city with the water supplier and different rules. We do have provisions for sizing in the event that the water meter is required by a jurisdiction. But as far as specifically requiring water meters and water usage to be metered, that is not part of the in the model code language.
Okay. All right. That is helpful. Then as far as other since we are looking at, 2021 versus 2015, and we're continually evolving our understanding of best conservation and energy efficiency efforts. Can you speak sort of generally to the updates that are coming through in this code versus our older versions of the code around energy efficiency and water conservation?
Yeah, I'd love to. The 2021 Uniform Plumbing Code has provisions in it for the most up-to-date water pipe sizing, which is called the Peak Water Demand Calculator. But what that allows a person to do is take what we learned 60 years ago in sizing pipe and then actually apply usage trends to that sizing method, which allows in single family and multifamily housing to decrease pipe sizing, which increases water efficiency, increases the amount of time or decreases the amount of time hot water is delivered to a point of use fixture, which in turn decreases the amount of energy it takes to heat that hot water. Additionally, there's provisions in the code for water reuse, whether it's rainwater harvesting. There's provisions for potable, taking rainwater and using it for flushing toilets and urinals. So there are a lot of provisions in the 2021 code for water efficiency, water conservation, and energy efficiency.
Great.
Alderman Rice, if I may add, this is Don Summers.
Yeah.
What Brian was talking about, the sizing of water piping was established way back in the 1920s, and we've been using that same method until just recently with the Peak Water Calculator that IAPMO was the one to develop. And it takes in all of the water saving fixtures that we use today that we never used way back 40, 50, 60 years ago. So they have looked at the fixtures, the piping, and the systems that we use today and have updated all of that. And also in the back of the 2021 UPC, there is an appendices on Legionella that will help look at that issue.
Okay, that all sounds great. And then the last one that I have a question with, with all of the significant rains that we got this year, I know that a lot of folks were dealing with backflow issues, and please excuse me if this is not actually in your purview, but I'm assuming because we're talking about wastewater and that's water, we're dealing with plumbing. And so are there provisions of this code that would help folks? And if we're dealing with more and more downpours, with increasing amounts of rain coming down in shorter amounts of time, your code deals with irrigation and the water coming out of people's homes or keeping it away from people's homes. So are there steps in here about backflow preventers or wastewater or other things like that would help in the situations where a lot of people have found themselves in over the summer where we're backing up into their homes?
This is Don Summers.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Don. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, in the chapter on sanitary sewers, there is a section that talks about what we call a backwater valve, not a backflow valve, but it's a backwater valve. And there are provisions under certain circumstances that the St. Louis Plumbing Department and the Code Committee worked with MSD. And it's really technical to get into it, but if your building or your home is underneath these certain circumstances, you are supposed to put in a backwater valve to help prevent that from happening.
Okay. That's great. And that is, if that's if something for the committee to keep recommending, stronger measures as we're seeing that type of downfall, and if our rainwater systems and our groundwater systems can't handle that, then for sure protecting people's property is important. So I think that's all of the questions that I had. Those are all sort of the main ones that have been raised to me by constituents and other folks. So thank you all for coming to us yet again. Thanks.
If there are no further questions, Alderman Ryan, please proceed.
Thank you, Chairwoman Ingracia. So it sounds like most of the questions that folks have been answered. I don't want to belabor this anymore. I know that we've all talked about plumbing codes for far too long. But I do have two amendments that are on the drive that I need to just make slight tweaks to this bill. One being to remove one word, and the other is in the fiscal note. There was kind of a Scrivener's error there that we want to make sure is cleaned up. So if anyone would be kind enough to move to put Amendment 1 to Board Bill number 182 committee sub in front of us, I would appreciate it.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll. I think we might have lost the chairwoman at the moment.
Yeah, let's see. She said something in the chat. She said, Lisa,
her dog ran
take
out.
over.
Yeah, Lisa, would you be able to take back over?
Okay, I'm sorry. So we got a motion and we got a second, correct?
Yes, and I asked for
Okay.
previous roll.
Okay, no objection to previous roll.
Thank you. So amendment number 1 to Board Bill number 182 committee sub amends page 18, line 20 as follows. Beginning on page 18, line 20, after the words end of building drain, strike out the word interceptors. That is the entirety of that amendment. It's just striking out one word. And I would ask for this committee's favorable consideration in this amendment.
Okay, can we move to adopt this? Get a motion to adopt this amendment?
I move that we adopt amendment number 1 to Board Bill 182 committee sub.
Second.
Previous roll.
Hearing no objections to previous roll, we have a, I'm sorry, we've adopted this. I'm trying to pull up my agenda. It just disappeared. Okay.
So then there's a second amendment, and this is on the fiscal note of this. I don't believe that this bill actually needs a fiscal note, but just to make sure that we have our bases all covered, we did include the fiscal note. However, the preparer's name was left off of the fiscal note. So on page 345 of the bill, if after the words preparer's name, going to add the following words and figures, quote, Jim Fall, end quote. And after the following words, phone number or email address, we're going to add the following words and figures, quote, jfall@hrjlaw.com. And that is just to denote who prepared that fiscal note. Hopefully not too controversial there. So again, I would appreciate this committee's favorable support in that amendment.
I move that we adopt amendment number 2 to Board Bill 182 committee sub.
Second.
Previous roll.
Okay, we have adopted this amendment. Hearing no objections to previous roll.
All right, well, that puts, I guess, Board Bill 182 committee sub as amended in front of this committee. And I guess we've addressed all the questions that the committee has at this point. And I know myself and the other folks on this call are happy to address any questions or concerns that both members of this committee and people who are not on this committee and who couldn't make this meeting, but may have some questions or concerns before this comes out to the full board, which I hope it does at least before it were to come out to the full board. I know that there's a lot of us who have been working on this for quite some time, and it's dense stuff. I don't think any of us on the board have a background in plumbing or pipe fitting, and so we have to go backwards and kind of rely on the subject matter expertise of those folks who are on the ground working with these things every day. And I'm happy to either put people in touch or to answer questions to the best of my ability as we move forward. And with that, I would ask for this committee's favorable consideration in passing out Board Bill 182 Committee Sub as amended with a due pass recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? If you could just kind of raise your hand. Anyone else? Okay. Well, seeing now, we will go. Madam Clerk, can you please call a roll?
I move we.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
gotta make
get
a
the motion. Yes, please.
Go ahead. I move we adopt Board Bill 182 committee substitute as amended with a due pass
Second.
recommendation. Sorry. Yes.
Second,
Previous roll.
Hearing no objections to previous roll. Board Bill 182 committee with the committee substitute has been voted out.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alderwoman Middlebrook, for your quick help. My front door blew open and my dog took that opportunity with lightning speed. The next item on our agenda is Board Bill 184. Alderman from the 24th, you're recognized.
Thank you again, Chairwoman Ingracia. And just a quick point of personal privilege. Your dog is back inside and everything as well. Okay, beautiful. Just wanted to make sure there before I callously went on with legislation. So Board Bill 184 is a board bill that addresses lead and how we remediate lead in the city of St. Louis. It's going to amend the lead poisoning control law by requiring that certain building permits are issued and that certain hazards are addressed by qualified contractors and workers. The requirements ensure that hazardous lead conditions are effectively abated by contractors. Under current law, certain lead abatement projects require prior notice to the state. The ordinance enacts penalties against lead abatement contractors who fail to comply with the notice requirements under state law and some other notification requirements set out in the ordinance. If contractors fail to provide an initial notice under state law or the city ordinance, they're subject to a stop work order. They could be subject to suspension of city work permits and could be fined. We know from studies that have been done, I believe it was the Missouri Independent just recently, back in September, ran an article with a study that showed that 80% of children in Missouri have lead, noticeable lead in their blood. We know that once children are exposed to lead, that it lowers IQ. It can cause people to engage in more violent behavior, and it's irreversible. This is something that affects families living in poverty or below the poverty in older housing more than, say, suburban communities. So the city of St. Louis, most everything in the city of St. Louis was built before 1978, where we see some regulation really start to come in at the federal level surrounding lead. It wasn't until the Obama administration that we really saw the way that we look at lead through things like drinking fountains change. I know we're probably all familiar with the situation in Flint, Michigan right now. We have basically a once in a lifetime opportunity here with the federal infrastructure dollars coming down the pipeline to ensure that lead abatement in the city of St. Louis is done correctly by folks who know what they're doing with it. We're not going to have, fly by night companies come in from wherever and and deal with these projects and leave people with the same issues as they had before. This will help protect not only children now, but future generations. Every future generation of children in the city of St. Louis, assuming this passes, will not be exposed to those same environmental toxins that children currently are. This is something that benefits every resident in the city of St. Louis. And there is a committee substitute on this. We wanted to ensure in the initial bill, it did not apply to single family houses. I know there was some concern from one of my colleagues that he took to social media with about this bill, trying to take away people's homes, something like that. This bill does not apply to single family homes. It doesn't apply to things under 4 families. And even then, it's for landlords who own multiple 4 families. This is really something so that when, we had like a school, a St. Louis public school, an old school building in my ward that was converted to a luxury apartment. Now, those old school buildings are full of lead. And whether you knock the building down or whether you renovate the building extensively, all that lead becomes environmental lead. And it also, when you're renovating these things, you should be paying attention to the pipes that drinking water will come through. This is the intention of the bill. This isn't to say, oh, you're making a renovation on your own home and now the city's going to come get you. This is when we're looking at the institutional level to ensure that as demolitions are happening and as development and redevelopment happens, that we're addressing the lead infrastructure and the environmental infrastructure as we go. And we're making sure that we're doing things in the correct fashion. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about this. And also, again, I would appreciate if we could get the committee sub in front of the committee so we actually have the correct bill in front of us.
Thank you, Alderman. I'd entertain a motion to put Board Bill 184 committee substitute before us.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll.
Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 184 committee substitute is before us. Alderman from the 24th, would you like to move on to speakers?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. We have one member of the public who's already been sworn in, Clinton McBride with the Laborers Union. Please proceed, Mr. McBride.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Again, I certainly appreciate your willingness to give me a little bit of time to speak on behalf of this bill and support. One point of clarification, actually in the definition of dwelling on this bill, it refers to 4 or fewer being exempted. So it actually doesn't kick in until 5 units. So 4 families, it doesn't apply to. So I just wanted to make that clarification. So yeah, as Alderman Orion had mentioned, Journal of American Medicine came out with a study recently saying that 8 out of 10 kids in the state of Missouri have elevated levels of lead in their blood. We're number 4 in the country for this, and it's not something that we should be proud of. When you look at the effects of early exposure to lead, there are a number of things that you'll see. And frankly, when you look at the issues that kind of plague our region, I think that it's not, that's not just a coincidence. I think that there's a correlation there. And I think that part of that is because we have for so long been mishandling the way that we do lead abatement in the city of St. Louis. Point in case, we have been allowing the same contractor to come in, and I don't just mean in one contractor in general, I just mean across the scale. We would let a contractor come in, do the environmental assessment to determine what lead is actually present, and then turn around and do that abatement as well. And there was no third-party independent set of eyes that ever really took a look to make sure that they were doing the stuff above scale, above board. The abatement process is the part that costs more money. So in fact, we were kind of incentivizing contractors to turn a blind eye on this stuff and to do this in a way that was contaminating neighborhoods for decades rather. And this is something that we really need to address. And this does this in this bill. It says that, you can, as a contractor, you can pick whether you want to do the environmental assessment or you can pick whether you'd like to do the demo and abatement. But this takes away the whole kind of aspect of the fox guarding the hen house. This is very similar to the way that we did this with asbestos. It was actually a group of minority contractors that came in and said, hey, the city is, they're putting these packages together. They're having us bid this. The surveys are not done on the front end. So we don't actually know how much of, the toxic substance is present. So they would have to put in a bid. They needed to get that bid to be the low bid in order to secure those contracts. But then they would sometimes go in and find out that there was all this toxic material they didn't realize was there. So then, what do you do? I mean, you've already bid this. You can go for change orders. You may or may not get them. And in some cases, folks were ending up out of pocket on this stuff because they were trying to do what's right. They would have been able to make money by turning a blind eye and sending this stuff to a landfill or, just painting over it or whatever that looks like. And that is not something that we should be incentivizing as a city. We need to be incentivizing this to be done above board. When it comes to substances like lead, like asbestos, toxic materials, we need to have those handled by people that have verifiable credentials on these projects. And I think that apprenticeship 100% confirms and basically means that is going to be the case. We've got situations where contractors ask people to do things that it's not safe. And if you don't have credentials, if you don't have, I graduated from this apprenticeship, I've got these certifications. If you don't have that, it's a lot harder to tell your contractor, no, I'm not going to do this. No, I've been trained and I know that this isn't the way that this is supposed to be done, because they're just going to tell you to get lost and go find somebody else on a high. My child came back and